I tried Concord at launch. Now I don't know if you guys heard about this, but Concord's not doing too good. Let's be honest. Um, real fast, we're gonna pull up the Steam chart real fast. It's real bad. It's really bad. Oh no, I'm about to show this. It's horrible, dude. This game's up. I guess you say AAA since it's made by Sony, published by Sony. Um, yeah, this is not doing too good. 660 all-time peak. This is they've been making this game for 8 years. Um, 8 years with a 660 all-time peak. 25 peak is 558. Game came out less than 48 hours ago. That is horrible. That is really bad. Like I there's nothing else I can say about that. It's like horrible. So I got a video we're gonna watch. I tried playing with at launch. I'm not gonna try that game out. That game seems awful. I tried Suicide Squad and that game killed bad games for me.
So today is a joyous day. We have the launch of one of the most anticipated games of the last few years. Tons of people are talking about it. Millions are playing it. And that game's Black Myth Wukong. Instead of playing that today,
Yeah,
I'm
sounds about
playing Concord. In fact, I actually already played it, and that's what we're gonna talk about. As always, if you appreciate me playing these games,
Black Myth Wukong is so good. It is so good. I don't think I've ever played like that game. I think both records or something. Second place on the it beat Power World in first place or second place. I mean, so Power World got pushed down to third place, and Black Myth Wukong came up to second place.
games for your sick amusement, please like the video and subscribe.
I'm never gonna touch this game.
So that I know that you like seeing me miserable playing these games, which are almost certainly going to die, and also wasting a lot of money on it, which we're going to talk about here in just a second. But having said that,
Yeah,
a
the game's
little
like
backstory
$40 or
with
something like that.
Concord. This is a game from Firewalk Studios being published by PlayStation, and it's technically speaking a first-party PlayStation Studios title. PlayStation actually went out and bought Firework Studios before this game was even announced. They thought it had that much potential, and according to some sources, they may have paid somewhere in the realm of $200 to $300 million when all was said and done for this game. Now, I'm not a video game scientist. I don't know how they would have justified spending that much money. And honestly, even if it's less, even if it's only like 100 million or 50 million, still, that is a crazy amount of money to pay for a game, which when announced, pretty much everybody agreed it was unremarkable. I don't know if
the trailer, I kind of like the trailer. The trailer looked pretty cool, you know. I thought it was going for a Going to Galaxy look. Other people thought the same thing. Uh, but it did not deliver at all. And as soon as I saw gameplay, I was like, oh god, this thing's never getting off the floor.
if you watched the reveal of this game, it was the first thing that they showed off at their PlayStation showcase earlier this year. And prior to that, it had gotten a revealed trailer where they showed like a hamburger and some other cinematic stuff, but not a whole lot. But when they showed it off earlier this year in much more detail, they had a cinematic trailer showing the cast of characters that actually got people pretty excited and stoked. And then, right as the trailer ended and people were excited for this new Guardians of the Galaxy inspired PlayStation IP, they led in with this.
Concord is a 5v5 first-person shooter.
And everybody's reaction was pretty much exactly what you would expect. People were like, oh, I was interested. And pretty much immediately people checked out. However, some people who are addicted to misery.
They could have made this game so good. But Sony, I think I saw something recently about Sony or PlayStation, either one, trying to push out live service games. Like they had like 8 live service games in the works. I was like, why? This Like that's too many. Even for one company, that's too many. In general, that's too many. We don't need that many, especially for one company. Like 2 or 3, maybe. Like EA does a couple, like Battlefield, uh, Apex Legends is one of them. I don't know if any of the sports games are considered live service or not, so I can't say anything about that. But that's 2. What else did they do? I think that's all really with live service. They only do 2 main live service games.
history, such as myself, decided to continue following this game and see what it had to offer. A number of weeks ago, they did a series of closed beta tests, and these beta tests were initially just for people who had the deluxe version pre-ordered, which was the closed beta test, and then they did an open beta test where you could play the game.
I'm not a fan of making people pay for beta testing or testing. What game? Some game, popular game coming out soon or something? Not even soon, but they make people pay like $140 to get the key to get access to testing. Like, why? You should be paying them to test.
Without having to pay anything for it.
I
And
feel
that's
game.
significant
Well, I don't get the
because,
name,
yes,
but
this
it was
game is something
popular.
you have to pay
I think it
for.
came out
It is a
couple years
5v5
ago.
hero shooter that costs $40.
I'm
And if
done
you
with
want
hero
access
shooters.
to early access, or what they call advanced access or whatever, you have to pay for the $60 version. Otherwise, it's just a flat 40. And during that open beta test, when the game was actually free, they peaked at just under 2,400 players. And I don't have to tell you probably that when your game is free and you can't break.
You want to know something? They have more people testing than they do people out playing than
2,400 players. That's not great. Like, granted, this is just on Steam. These are just Steam numbers, but this
they
is
probably
a game that
reflect
is a
the
first-person
PlayStation
shooter.
numbers.
This is allegedly going to be relatively competitive, and those types of games really depend on their PC audiences. And so to have such weak performance on PC when the game is free is not really confidence inspiring when you're then going to turn around and charge $40 for it after the fact. Because the conclusion, which I think is fair to make, is that when you offered the game for free, you got one number, and after you start charging for the game, this number will be lower because some of the people that tried it, some of those 2,400 peak concurrent players, will not pay for the game and tried it but just decided it wasn't for them, which is why the number.
If you're making a live service game and if you're charging people money for the live service game, you will have less people playing the game because no one wants to go play it if they have to pay money for it. If you have stuff like, for example, what Delta Force is doing, or any other reasonable game like the First Sentence, One Human, you get skins, you get semi-pay to win stuff. Hopefully not any, but you can't stop it. You sometimes can't help it, I guess. I'm not defending it. This is how it is. Cosmetics, battle passes, like that stuff. That stuff is basically what you can monetize in your game while making people pay $40 to $60 to get access to it. Why is that
number fell off quite sharply,
I'm about
and they
to
ended
quit
up
Opera.
at an average of
me off.
around 1,100 people when all was said and done, floating down into like the sub 1,000 range. And again, I'm not a video game scientist or whatever you'd call it, but I just don't know how you could possibly have a live service first-person hero shooter that is successful with 3-digit, barely 4-digit player numbers on PC. That just doesn't
you spend
work.
more money with service than you are for the players.
Today is the launch of Advanced Access. So if you are one of the people that it happens to be excited for the game, then you could pay for the $60 version of the game and play it early.
Right.
And the rest of the world is going to get access to the game for $40 on the 23rd. So a couple of days from when you are seeing this video go up live. And I tried it. I tried it on stream, and I had some problems, unfortunately. First things first, the PC version of the game on Steam, I just couldn't get working at all. It didn't unlock for me despite owning the deluxe edition. I just couldn't get it to work. I couldn't download it, couldn't access it at all. And so I basically put in a request for a refund from Steam since I can't play.
I don't know if that's a Steam issue or that's a them issue. It could be either one, but that may have not been Sony's fault on that end, but it could also be, for all I know,
the game that I purchased for $60. Little update, they did approve that, and I have gotten my money back, which is good to see because when I played the beta for all those hours, it was technically a different application, so they were willing to refund me my money because we're having technical issues with this. Other people, however, I have seen on Twitch were able to get into the Steam version and play it, although there's just some weirdness going on with the Steam app, like trying to track player numbers and stuff. It's just not working right now. and they only have 13 total
Yeah,
reviews.
okay.
There's just something going on with the Steam version of the game. I don't know what it is. Maybe
I
it's
don't
just
know.
glitching out. The whole thing's
I don't know if that's a Steam issue or that's the actual them issue. He said he did this a couple days ago, right? So August 20th. Well, it depends what day it was. If it was Tuesday, I don't know what day Tuesday was, but it was Tuesday, August 20th. I don't know if that's no. Before I started saying random stuff, let me go check myself. August 20th is Tuesday. It could have been Steam maintenance on August 20th,
weird. But the point is,
but
I couldn't play the game on
that
PC.
could
So,
also that
because
could
I'm
be
an
a reason why.
irresponsible person with my money and a YouTuber, a dangerous mix, I decided to buy the game in addition on PlayStation to try the launch version for myself. I played
That's
it on
something about it,
stream
dude.
after we watched Gamescom opening night live with the one and only Jeff Keighley, and the high I was experiencing after watching the reveal of the next Mafia game, which is something I'm very, very excited for. That high very quickly
I didn't
wore
see
off,
that. That looked awesome.
as I booted in, because Concord at launch has a couple of problems, but they have made some improvements, which I'll give them credit for. For one, matchmaking times were actually better than during the open beta that I played all those weeks ago. Matchmaking times were anywhere from 40 seconds to a few minutes, and I didn't ever have
That's not
anything
too
time
bad.
out, which
But
is an
did
improvement.
launch
During
day?
the betas, when the game was free, I actually had problems finding matches within just an hour of starting to play, and I even had some
You had trouble finding matches to play with more people.
cases of matchmaking time out after 10 minutes since
Dude,
they
it's
couldn't
so
find
sloppy.
anybody
Look
to
how
pair
slow
me
this
with in all
gameplay
that
is.
time. Granted, I was
like
playing
you're
this on
walking in
stream
mud.
within just a few hours of the game
Hold on.
going
We'll go over
live,
this
so
again.
time out after from 40 seconds
Like, you
to
literally
a
feel like
few
you're
minutes,
walking in mud.
and I didn't ever have anything time out, which is an improvement.
I know you're
During
shooting
the
right now.
betas,
Look
when
at
the
this.
game
Even
was
with the
free, I actually
SMG.
had problems finding matches
It
within
feels
just
kind of
an
floaty,
hour of
too.
starting to play, and I even had some cases of matchmaking time out after 10 minutes since they couldn't
That's
find
awful.
anybody to pair
Awful
me with
movement
in all
design.
that time. Granted, I was playing this on stream within just a few hours of the game going
It's
live,
not fast
so
enough.
in the
You
next
need it
couple of
faster. A
days
game like
that
this has to
may
be faster.
drop, because I have a feeling a lot of the people who are interested in Concord, if they were willing to pony up $40, they probably are willing to pony up 60. So I'm guessing the majority of players were in this initial batch of people, and that might change as the next few days pass and the game fully opens up
did
to
not change,
everybody
actually.
for that $40 price point. But while matchmaking times were improved, I still think it's important to note that these are far from ideal matchmaking times you'd hope to see for a game that's launching to allegedly an excited fan base. I also ran into a couple of bugs and weird behaviors within the app, most notably an issue where if you try to cancel matchmaking to back out of matchmaking
don't
for
know why
one mode and
every game is like this. You try to cancel matchmaking, and you have to wait like 10 extra seconds to cancel.
favor of loading into a different mode, maybe you're matchmaking for 4 or 5 minutes and you're not finding a match, so you try to cancel it to load into another more popular mode to find a match faster, the game just locks up. And bear in mind, this is on the PlayStation 5. This is the first party port of a first party game, and if you try to cancel matchmaking, the game just locks up completely. You can't do anything. And when we ran into this on stream, I had to fully close the app and relaunch it with the starter vignette, story, cutscene, whatever playing again. And then I was able to matchmake. But it is a weird problem that I encountered, and so I figured I would mention it here. But like I said, they have made some improvements as well. They have training modes available now, and they have some smaller modes as well where you can do things like running through basic obstacle courses. These secondary modes with the little obstacle courses,
that's not the main gameplay.
Really an afterthought and not particularly interesting to me or to anybody else.
Look
I
at the
don't
running,
know
dude.
whether
So
or not
slow.
this is going to find an audience, but
I don't
the
like
characters
that.
move so slowly if you're playing a tank, and then the assault characters
That's what I was saying.
don't have as much mobility as you would have expected. And there's only a few characters that really can zip around the map easily, and I just don't know if there's enough here to really justify this being a dedicated mode. But maybe people are going to eat this up. I really don't know. When you're actually in a game and playing it, there are also some improvements that they've added, such as a penalty for leaving matches early. This may sound like a really obvious feature to have, but during those betas I talked about earlier, they didn't have any system of punishment or prevention for this type of behavior. So people would load into a match, and if they started to get blown out and it's just, oh, well, we're going to lose, they would just leave the match, leaving their party down a player, down 2 players, 3
He's by
players, and there was
himself?
no recourse. People would just do it.
That's bad.
And
He's by
you were
himself on
screwed.
that
You're
whole
gonna
thing,
lose,
dude.
and
That's
if you
so
didn't
bad.
want to screw over your other teammates, you'd be left playing with one other person against 5 people, and it's just not very fun at all. But they have since added a penalty system for leaving matches early, and I did test this, and I felt like a real a-hole while doing it. But I loaded into matches, and after matchmaking for a few minutes, we started played for a few minutes, and once I felt like the game was pretty well decided, I pulled out of the match, and they gave me a warning, and that clears away once I accept that I've received a warning and that I'm free to matchmake again. And I actually tried this twice. I left 2 matches in a row, and it gave me 2 warnings in a row. But I imagine third time's the charm, and then they're going to give you that 5-minute penalty where you just have to sit out of a match for leaving early. Honestly, it's better than nothing. I think.
I remember I used to play League of Legends way back then, and you had to, if you left the game or anything, the penalties were so bad, dude. And you had to sit there and wait. You couldn't just. I don't think you could exit out. You had to actually sit there and wait in the queue until that timer ended. We're about to go back to Google. This is getting ridiculous. I just paused and I can't even.
Maybe this can actually prevent people from leaving. I think 2 warnings is probably too generous. I just do 1 warning or no warnings for pulling out of matches, and just give them a penalty regardless. But maybe they have to do it this way because they can't really afford to give up any players for matchmaking because player counts are lower, so who knows. But having said that, I played a few matches and then I played a few more off stream, and frankly my takeaway is the same as it was after the betas. I think this is a competently made shooter. I think the developers clearly knew what they were doing mechanically, but I think other design choices, such as the very concept of a 5v5 hero shooter you're going to charge $40 with, is just so asinine in the modern marketplace.
That was the
frankly
case
baffling, especially
when Overwatch 1 came out. It was fine when Overwatch 1 came out, but obviously stuff changed since then. So now it's just stupid to do that. You're kind of crippling yourself by doing that.
Especially when it's going head-to-head with something like Marvel Rivals, which is a free-to-play game with the whole roster available.
People are going to Marvel Rivals instead of
tons of other quality of life improvements, match replays, and stuff like that. Concord just feels extremely shallow and hollow all at the same time. And I think even if it were free to play, it would struggle to find an audience. And the fact that they're charging $40 for it or $60 for the deluxe, I think they're just setting it up to die. It really seems like either Sony is intentionally trying to just get this thing out of their own way, and then they're just going to start over with something else, or maybe they're just hoping and praying that they're able to figure out something with regards to success. Like maybe they're hoping this just blows up like Helldivers 2 somehow, but I just don't frankly see that happening. And it's too bad because clearly the devs know what they're doing. They're talented guys and gals. They know
how to make solid and tight movement and shooting and stuff. But a 5v5 hero shooter in 2024 is just not that interesting. And also charging $40 for it is crazy. While you have competitors
it's just
too,
ridiculous. And I think other things like the character designs being pretty laughable and cringy is probably the best word for it. It just seems tailor-made to fail, and it's too bad because this will represent.
Overwatch 2 is free. In Marvel Rivals says it's going to be free. We got some other games like what is that? Smite. I think Smite was free, and I think there's one more, but I can't remember the name of it right now.
And probably $200 to $300 million of wasted money that could have gone towards another project that had a lot more potential behind it. And I feel like any gamer could have probably looked at this. Anybody really in tune with the broader gaming zeitgeist could have looked at this and been like, this ain't gonna do well, guys. Like this. This isn't going to go well. And I feel baffled and amazed that somebody like Jim Ryan would have greenlit this and spent so much money on it. But that's just where we are. It's a lot of executives that are greenlighting live service games that nobody's really interested in the hope that it will somehow make money. And when you're like pillar of decision making is not, well, we have these numbers, we have these stats, we have this research, we have these people saying this game has been reviewed by independent reviewers at this level, that's why we think it's successful. But rather, instead of all that, they're going, yes, our pillar of decision making is we hope people like it, and spend lots of money. Like that really is the extent of their preparation and of their justification.
Sounds about right to me.
That's all they really were going on with Concord. All the feedback was negative. People are like, this really doesn't seem worth the money. And even if it were free, it just doesn't seem that remarkable. So I really don't know what you're doing. And they're like, yes, but we have faith. We have faith it's going to work out. It's just asinine and stupid. And I think games like Concord are probably why PlayStation leadership has seen such a shakeup in the recent months. And that's because I think the CFO that came in did a full comprehensive review of PlayStation. He came in and was like, okay, this isn't working. Margins are down at 6%. They should be at 20 to 25% this point in the generation. You guys are hemorrhaging money in all of these live service projects that are going nowhere. So we're going to just cut the fat. We're going to figure it out, get the games that are prepped out the door, and we're going to cancel other stuff like the Last of Us Online project. We're going to move forward and figure out what the hell we do to save this sinking ship. It's not even really sinking. It's just like, you know what? It's like PlayStation was racing Xbox and Nintendo and everything, and they're way ahead of it, all the competition. And then Jim Ryan comes along and he decides to just take down the sales. And then he's like, yeah, we're going to shove all the sales into the sea and catch fish because we can sell the fish for money. And everybody's around him like, there aren't fish out here in the middle of the ocean. Like, we got to go by a reef or something. And he's like, no, you just have to have hope and faith that there are fish. He's just like straight up Ahab looking for a whale. And then the CFO of Sony comes in and is like, what the hell are you doing? No, like they throw Jim Ryan off the ship and then they put the sails back up and they start heading forward again. And unfortunately, we wasted like 4 years of the PS5 generation with nothing but remasters and remakes. And
I have a really, I don't know if this is going to be a hot take, but PS5, this current generation of consoles is the worst generation of consoles. They're still making games for PS4s and Xbox Ones. Those came out years ago. It's been probably like 10 years now, something like that, something close to that, anyways. And they're still making games for those. PS4s and not PS4s, PS5s and Xbox Series S, X have been out for the last 5 to 6 years, and they're just now starting to make exclusives. I mean, there's been exclusives every now and then, but literally just now breaking away from it. I'm pretty sure, I think Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3 came out on old gen, did it? PS4? Yes, it did. Modern Warfare 3 came out on PS4 and PS5. The game's been out, when PS5 launch said, let's look that up. 2020. So it's been 4 years. It has been 4 years, and we still barely get exclusives for the new gen consoles. This is the worst generation of consoles we have ever had. There's been no innovation. Nothing's been moving forward. We're still using old consoles. Like, what was the point of moving up? I feel like I wasted money buying a PS5 because I thought everything was I was under the impression that everything's gonna be moving forward to the new consoles, but nope, nothing did.
And stuff, and then other sequels that were in the works prior to Jim Ryan taking over. But maybe now we're back on the right course. One can only hope. Oh, see, hope. We've come full circle. But to wrap all of this up with Concord, I just really don't have much to say at this point. And I think that that's true of a lot of other people trying to talk about this game. It's just exactly what it appears to be and nothing more. And that's just frankly not enough to find success in this market with so much competition. Really, and with that competition being free to play, I just don't see a world in which this magically finds success. Maybe it does. Maybe this will be one of the big surprise hits of the year and it'll just blow us all away. But I think we all know, and so does PlayStation, this probably doesn't end that way. I think they're probably using this as a tax write-off for the rest of this year, and they're just going to have Firewalk Studios work on something else after this shuts down, probably early in the spring, because they've committed to a couple of updates this fall and then first thing in January. So after that, I think they probably move on from it. Maybe they put it on PlayStation Plus to make it quote unquote free to play at that point, but I still don't think that really saves it. But let me know, are you going to be playing Concord, or are you going to go play Black Myth Wukong and other games
you're not playing
that are...
if you're playing Concord or Black Myth
word
Wukong,
Jim
you
Ryan
literally
never can remember.
like
Oh,
hitting yourself
fun.
in the knee with
Yeah,
a hammer.
fun games. Are you going to go do that? Yeah. Let me know in the comments section.
That's a pretty good video.
I will be looking at that. Again, if you enjoyed the video, make sure to like.
Pretty good video. I'll link this on the YouTube. But yeah, I've never seen this guy's videos before. It's pretty good. Subscribe to him too. I want to see some more videos he makes.